I grew up as a teenager in the 90s. I went to what we call a modern Orthodox religious Jewish school in Boston. There was no popularity hierarchy. There were jocks, there were nerds, but we were all kind of inherently lame. I was bullied barely. Somebody would call me grossiosi, but that was the extent of it. It was a co-ed school. We had boys and girls in the class, but there was no such thing as a prom. The worst thing the rabbis wanted was to have mixed dancing. There were, obviously, everybody was basically a virgin. And the school was very academically rigorous. There were 4 English subjects, 4 Hebrew subjects. You get out of school at 6 and you had about 2 hours of homework. We were so academically rigorous that our basketball team was called the MCATs. So we didn't really have much of a social life besides school. I was a bit of a rebellious kid, so one day I decided to go somewhere where no MIMO kid had gone before. I went on the opposite side of the tracks, 10 minutes away, to this school called Brookline High. Now, Brookline High was a public school. It wasn't this small, private, rinky-dink Jewish school. And it was also a school that had a lot of celebrities. Conan O'Brien went there, as well as some other celebrities. And the first thing I saw when I got there were people were making out on the lawn. And I was like, wow. And, boys and girls were holding hands. There was people with green hair. There was women dressed up as goth girls. And I was like, that's crazy. I mean, my school, we could just wear collared shirts. And it was very strict dress code. I was floored. And this was before Columbine, so I actually walked into the school and I was checking it out, and they had things that I saw in the sitcoms, but they wouldn't have it in my school. They had track, they had art classes. These things were not available in my school. And I was like, wow, these people, this is amazing. I gotta get good with these people. I don't need, everybody in my school was a loser. So I came back to my school, and, I came back to my rinky-dink school, which is probably 20 times smaller than this school. And my school was K for 12. And I saw the walls, and they had this, flame-retardant cotton candy it looked like cotton candy. It was sprayed to cover asbestos, and it was just falling out. It was disgusting. And I was like, there were no cell phones back then, but if my school was a cell phone, it would be a flip phone. But it didn't have any bells and whistles. But the truth was, all my contacts were in that phone. And I'm like, I need an in. I need to get into the public high school. A couple of days later, me and my friends, we were quote-unquote badasses. We would smoke clove cigarettes. We were hanging out in downtown Boston, go to Newbury Comics, and we'd go to the Chinese restaurant and get non-kosher vegetarian food. We were such rebels. And my friend Joe, I told my friend Joe and Ewan, we were both together, and I said I went to the Brookline High. They're like, you went there? And they're like, and I was like, yeah, it was amazing. And they're like, I don't know why our parents send us to MIMO. It's like an academic Alcatraz. And I was like, I agree with you. I don't know our parents are sadistic. I don't know what they're thinking here. Then we walked into Jack's Joke Shop on Boylston Street in Boston. This was one of my favorite places growing up. I would always go there. And Jack saw me and he said, so Yossi, how's the shocking beer can? I recently purchased the shocking beer can from Jack's. And I was like, it was too strong. Basically, I had electrocuted an English teacher of mine, and she was pregnant at the time, we did not know, and they ended up confiscating the can. But he's like, look, we got some new releases, and he showed me a bunch of prank toys, and then I saw it, and it was like the most beautiful thing, and I have a copy, a replica here. It was the Rolls Royce of exploding gag gifts. It was called Sex Report. Now, it's very simple, but it was very effective. And to me, this was the Rolls Royce of exploding gag gifts. You basically put a cap inside, and you open it, and it explodes. Usually, and for me, this was gold because I went to a school where everybody was an overworked, sexually repressed student, young teenager, prepubescent teenager. So I'm like, this is going to be amazing. And so I brought it to school the next day, and we had Talmud class. And Talmud class was one of the most annoying classes, and everybody was stressed out. We had a period before Talmud class, and we were studying for a Talmud final. And everybody was stressed out and freaking out, and I was like, guys, check this out. And I take out, sex report, and I'm like, there was like, what's that? And I'm like, just be quiet. And I put it on the table next to us, and this jock kid named Noam Osman sees the sex report, and he just goes to it like a moth to a flame. He didn't really have to wait that long. He just walks toward it, and he opens it, and it explodes. And he falls backwards like 2 feet. Everybody's cracking up, and Noam Osman gets up. He's like, "You got me." Everybody was laughing. It lightened the mood. It made everybody happy, and I felt good about myself. Then I was like, I struck gold here. So I started using it in the cafeteria, in the gym. Pretty much everybody in Maimo knew what sex report was after a couple of days. So then suddenly I had the idea. I said to myself, if sex report is so popular, if people in Maimo like it, maybe I can use this to bond with the people at the cool school, at Brookline High. So I put my yarmulke in my pocket, I put the sex report in my pocket, I go across the tracks to Brookline High, the cool school, and I put sex report on a wooden table right across from the school, and this blonde hair, kind of like young Gwen Stefani, look like rollerblades, goes up to it, and she's looking at it. She opens it, explodes, and I'm like, coming out, "Hey, what'd you think?" And she's just like, "You're an asshole." She takes the book and throws it in my face, and I was like very confused. I'm like, what? Well, how could she not like this? And then I was like, it must have been a fluke. I took the book, I put it outside the pavement, outside the grass lawn of Brookline High, and there was this young guy with piercings and a Deftones t-shirt. I thought he was, I'm like, this guy's gonna like this, he's really cool. And he stops, looks at the sex report, and he opens it up, and it explodes in his face. And I come out, and he just looks at me with this horrible disgust. And he's like, "You're a dickwad." And he takes the sex report and he puts it in his pocket and he just walks off. And I was like, huh? And it was my attempt to make friends in Brooklyn High, but it didn't work. And I went back to my rinky-dink high school, and I was just like kind of defeated. I was like, all right, this is what I have. This is my home, unfortunately. Anyway, times passed, and I went to NYU. I traveled around the world. I diversified my friendship portfolio. I'm friends with people from all different religions, ethnicities, creeds. But it's funny when people talk about high school. Some people have a negative experience during high school. And they ask me like, were you ever bullied in high school? And I'm like, no. Like, you sure? You sure you weren't bullied? No, I was like, no. And I'm older now, and now I have a kid. And my kid is 6 months old. And about a couple of weeks ago, I went to visit my friend Joe, who I was very close to. Actually, a lot of my friends from elementary and high school, from Maimo, they're my strongest relationships. The connections are very deep. So we're sitting down, and Joe is talking to me. So he's like, "Where are you going to send your kid? Are you going to send him to public high school, or are you going to send him to Jewish high school?" And I was like, I was thinking about it, and I'm leaning more towards Jewish school, though I haven't made a decision yet. And the thing is, and I know the 15-year-old version of myself would probably be like, just like horrified that I would say that. But the thing is, in my school, everybody was kind of like a loser and in last place. But, if everybody's in last place, then everybody wins.